Olivia will be starting off with a Yurchenko full, starts off with a 9-9 start value. Did have a large hop backwards. Her goal, especially with that Yurchenko full, her goal is to start and aim for that 9-9 in order to be competitive with the Gators.
And Auburn coming off just a 196.075 at number 10, Arkansas, who has really begun the season well. They were up over 197 again, right in the mid-197s. Florida on bars, a 49.55 last week. Tied for the second highest bar score in the country coming into this meet with Alabama and also LSU. Here's our first look at the Cal transfer, the Southern Jersey native MJ Frazier, who has brought so much to this team.
I want the viewers to see how precise she is on the uneven bars, and that's what makes her such a great athlete, especially in this leadoff position. Hits that handstand right on top. Just the dismount here. Huge double layout. Loved how she kept her legs together. She had a little bit of over-rotation, which resulted in that step forward, but other than that, amazing job and great leadoff.
Auburn will go to vault with Nia Leverton here, the freshman. What judges are looking for, Anastasia, right there?
The judges are looking for that huge block off the table, for those legs to be squeezed into the air, and of course to absorb that landing, having those knees bent instead of taking a large hop forward or backward.
Here is the first of 5 10-0 start values, and Yurchenko 1.5. Had a 9.825 on this vault last week at Arkansas.
Huge block off the table, and that is exactly what Auburn needed to respond back to the Gators. That was phenomenal. Round off onto the huge block, and she just has right there that block. Feet are together, legs are glued together, just has a little bit shift, but other than that, she did such a great job holding that landing.
I mean, for Auburn, it's kind of been just a tale of two meets. They had a 196.075 against Arkansas, but opened the season with a 197.15 in this building against NC State. Head coach Jeff Grable saying, what kind of team do you want to be tonight? That is going to be the key to potentially upsetting Florida for the first time since 2004. MJ Frazier started with a 9.825. Here's Anya Pilgrim. They made some late changes, so this is supposed to be Pilgrim's only event here tonight.
Anya does some unique gymnastics. Beautiful pack salto down to the low bar. Hits that pirouette, handstand right on top, exactly what the judges are looking for. And again, another breath. And just a dismount, a full twisting double tuck, and just absorbs that landing. That's exactly what the Gators need to do to remain on top.
Pilgrim coming off a 9.925 last week. Has been off to a good start this season on bars.
Watch this pack salto. I love how she has a lot of pressure on her grips and just gets that dowel onto the bar. And just this dismount, her legs are glued, feet are together, and she just holds that landing. Picture perfect.
Here's a look at someone in the all-around for Auburn, Marissa Neal, the sophomore from Blue Springs, Missouri. Had a 9.75 last week, but a 9.85 on her collegiate vault debut for the former elite gymnast.
She's got a lot of distance on this vault, and she tried a little bit too hard to get that stick, got a little bit too excited. But again, these athletes need to hold the sticks for at least 2 seconds before making a move. Judges are definitely going to be taken off for that landing, but watch the block off the table. Legs are glued. The distance was perfect. She holds onto that landing. Take a look how she's a little bit crooked on this side, a little shuffle of that foot, and then also a step. Judges are going to take off because that was an uncontrolled landing.
Here's Riley McCusker, this senior, an All-American on bars in 2023. It's so great to see her after going through so much adversity in her gymnastics career. She is breathtaking on bars when she's on.
And take a look at her technique. She is just picture perfect from her toes. This is called a Stalder and then a Van Leeuwen. Her legs were completely glued together. There's that Stalder work right there. Very unique gymnastics. Brings in her elite experience. And Alex, the Gators are on fire.
Both scores this year from McCusker have been 9.9 or better. Did she add one more?
Watch this right here. This is called a Stalder. into a beautiful Maloney. That is such a difficult transition because you need to have that full compression in order to get enough power on that release move. It is so impressive.
Here's Julianne Huff following up the 9.825 from Marissa Neal. So a 9.875, the high score for Auburn and Leverton.
Another Yurchenko 1.5. I loved how she flared open those arms. She did take a step backwards, but she limited her rotation, but it was controlled. Watch how she opens those arms right there to find the landing. She did a great job. And like I said, sometimes it's better to take a controlled landing, and that's exactly what the judges are looking for.
Now you can tell that, Auburn is starting to dial it in. They had a really difficult vault against Arkansas, just a 49.025. Couldn't get their landings down, but so far so good. 9.975. One judge gave a 10 to Riley McCusker. What a routine that was. Here's Kayla DiCello, former world champion, all-around bronze medalist.
Unique gymnastics. That was just called a church release move immediately into a pack salto, then back up to the high bar with Van Leeuwen. She brings her elite experience. Florida Gymnastics is packed with execution, and she did a great job having that chest completely vertical, but just that slight little step forward. Judges are definitely going to take off for that.
It's so great to see her back involved in all these events after missing last year, recovering from that torn Achilles at the 2024 Olympic trials. And she has foot surgery last December. Was most likely going to be a member of that Olympic team in Paris, along with her teammate Sky Blakely, who we will see coming up next on Balls. Here's a real highlight, though. Paige Zancan on vault. Watch this very unique vault that's a 10-0 start down.
This is such a unique vault. She does a front handspring onto the board, then onto the table. She stuck this the very first meet and got a 9.975. Alex, will this be a 10 for the Auburn Tigers?
What a start for Paige Zancan on vault.
You got to be so quick. You got to have that heel drive, and she did it with perfection. Look at that face. Look at Coach. He knows that was spectacular.
Kurt Henninger's going to want to see it. I mean, the only thing is she was a little bit off center, right? She landed with straddling that line, and yes, the line is just there for the judges to see. It's not a mandatory deduction, but it shows where they land in terms of how they are centered. All right, so Sky Blakely following up the 9.875 from DiCello.
Sky Blakely, she is just flawless. She is captivating on the bar. The viewers watching this, watch this right here. She does an inverted grip. So difficult. Immediately into a double front with a half twist. Alex, do you think they're going to catch that little step right there?
Yeah, I think they will, but this is a really good rotation here for Florida. At the moment, they are dropping the 9.825 from MJ Frazier to lead off.
Look at this grip. Viewers watching that, you can see even the fans have a little flinch right there. That double front with the half finds the landing. Eyes are completely glued. Incredible. She makes me emotional watching her. She's that great of an athlete.
Paige Zancan's vault was just a 9.9. Just a 9.9, I should say. I mean, that was an outstanding vault. 9.9 last week for Sophia Bell, who's now moved to the anchor spot tonight. Tied for 4th in the country on this event. This could be something special here to round out vault. Looking to drop the 9.75 from Olivia Greaves.
Watching warm-ups earlier today, she did have a little bit of a trouble. She's got to hit that board. Full speed right there, blocks off the table. She tried a little bit too hard to find that stick, which resulted in that slight chest forward and that little bit of hop, and then also a little bit of a step. Judges are going to be taken off for that. So explosive, her arms are straight, legs are glued, tries to fight for that landing, but you can see that she tried too hard and then had that step forward.
Yeah, just a little bit forward there, chest was down. We'll see what the judges do with it to finish off the vault rotation for Auburn. Here's our first look at Selena Harris-Miranda, the SEC Specialist of the Week, back-to-back weeks. Stuck her dismount as usual. She has incredible sticking ability that comes naturally, according to her head coach.
She's another disciplined bar worker, Alex. Watch how she just hits the handstand right there. Stops and holds it. The judges can't take anything off of that. Another one right on top. And just a dismount here. Pay attention to her legs, completely glued. And then just that little heel touch.
Start value. So that's an area that they really have an advantage and will set them apart from some other teams in the NCAA and probably in the SEC as well. All right, what does Auburn have in store for us here on bars? You can see number 3 in your lineup. Everybody's got a big smile, I know, watching at home, because Kiko Jung is expected to make her season debut in her first routine after suffering a torn Achilles at the end of last February when she was one of the best freshmen in the SEC. Let's see how Neal starts off Auburn on bars.
She was a great leadoff last week. She's got to perform at the capability that she is aware of. Beautiful transition, pass salto back down to the low bar. Hits that handstand. And just a dismount here, blind full into a double tuck. Opened up a little bit too early. Taking that step forward, judges are definitely going to be taken off for that.
It's a very young team here for Auburn that's really trying to invent themselves, according to head coach Jeff Graba. Only going to be successful, according to him, if their freshmen can grow quickly. And they are getting valuable reps here in January as they toggle the lineups. More experience for the younger gymnasts, as well as getting healthier. That is an important part as well. Here is Lee Boy, Swisher, Iowa. Boy, the sophomore, who came in as a 16-year-old last year, the youngest gymnast in NCAA, following up Skylar Drazer's 9.75. Anastasia, not a mark that they're going to want to count.
She's going to want to drop that score. Looked a little bit rushed. Unfortunately, we do have an injury from Lee. Looked like she landed with a straight leg.
Lee's only event, the former U.S. senior national team member, one of 6.
Yeah.
And Florida.
This is a moment.
Going to tend to her.
Yeah, it's very, very tough to have an injury, especially with all this pressure. She is an elite athlete. She's put a lot of pressure on herself. She came here early for Florida, has made a big impact, has grown a lot.
Assistant coach Owen Fields to the rescue. Lee is an outstanding gymnast, hoping she'll be back very soon.
Take a look right there. You saw how she hit the yellow on the springboard and then did have a straight leg on that landing. I hope she's okay and she recovers fast and she's back in the lineup like she never missed a beat.
Marissa Neal's score was a 9.75 for Auburn to begin. They would love to potentially drop that score. Bryn Bartman had only a 9.575 in week 1. Didn't compete last week against Arkansas.
Gorgeous straddle Jaeger immediately into that bail. Judges are looking for that bail to hit horizontal, and there is no question on that handstand. Hits it right on top, and another double front dismount. Such a tricky dismount because it is a blind landing.
So a step there on the dismount, following up the 9.75 from Neal. And remember, this was a good lead here for Florida over Auburn. It was 49.625 to 49.175. So they've got some ground to make up, but plenty of gymnastics still to come here tonight on SEC Network. Amelia Disador, the freshman from Overland Park, Kansas, who also trained at Gage, just like Boy. Of course, the 9.225, what they are hoping to drop for the Gators. And Skylar Drazer's 9.75 is going to have to count, but can still put together a good rotation here if the last 4 can hit.
She can do explosive gymnastics on the vault. And unfortunately, another 5-10 deduction.
Does that have anything to do with what just happened to Boy? Does that get in your head if you're a gymnast?
100%. We say this in gymnastics that sticks are contagious, and sometimes falls can be contagious. They have to handle the pressure, regroup that mental mindset, and really focus on what they do in practice and bring that same energy onto the competition floor.
Here's Kiko Jung. I am sure that this is going to be a bit of an emotional, you can tell already, look at her face, an emotional return here for the sophomore from Allen, Texas. Was having such an incredible first year on the Plains. Tore Achilles, and now she is back and should be competing on all 4 events at some point this season.
Another transition up to the high bar called a Van Leeuwen. I would have loved to see her legs and toes glued together a little bit more. But a beautiful, but I would say a little bit squatty on that dismount, Alex, but does a great job holding that full twisting double back. I'm happy to see her back on the uneven bars.
Yes, a successful return to competition for Kiko Jung.
Look at that leg separation a little bit, kind of like a little stutter in the air. And the crowd is wild because she is back. It is emotional for these athletes, especially coming back from an injury and being here in your hometown competing in front of this a great arena.
It's only going to get better, too. Dizador's a 9-3. That now counts. And they're still dropping boys 9-2-2-5. What pressure here, Anastasia, on DeCello, Ferris, and Harris Miranda.
DeCello can definitely handle the pressure. She does play it a little bit safe. She did rock it a little bit too far forward, a little bit too much explosive. She would have loved to have that arms open, that stall. But you can see how much height and distance in that block. I would have loved to see her open up those arms a little bit sooner. But you know what? They got one on their feet.
That's true. Is that overcompensating the other way?
100%.
So Charlotte Booth now following up a 9.85 from Jung. That is a successful first routine back. Nicely done for Jung. Charlotte Booth has been struggling a bit on bars. Anastasia, they made a change to her routine.
Yeah, head coach Jeff Graber said that we've kind of toned down this routine, made it a little bit easier for her. Another Van Leeuwen up to that high bar. Loved how she kept those feet together. And just the dismount here. A much improved double layout. She really needed that under her belt to boost her confidence. Great pack salto. Here's that Van Leeuwen. Keeps her feet together right there. Hits that handstand. And just that dismount, the judges are looking for that smooth transition. Legs were glued from that perspective of the judge, and just a little bit too happy of the chest, having that step backwards.
So Kayla DeCello scores a 9.675, and it's up to Danny Ferris.
That is how you respond and get your team back to the momentum that they're wanting. That was beautifully executed from her block to her legs being fully glued together. Right here, no deductions in the air, and finds that landing. It's exactly what the Florida Gators needed.
In the worst way. That should be a good score here for Danny Ferris, the junior from Palm Coast, Florida. And now here is Greaves. Just a 9.65 last week. In the all-around, she had a 38.875, which she is capable of so much more than that. She's also a former U.S. national team member.
This release move right there is called the church, and she has no problem, and she connects it back to the high bar. The less handstands you do on the uneven bars, the better, because the judges can't take anything off.
That's more like it. That is Olivia Greaves Gymnastics right there. Look at her. I mean, that's like a weight off of her, right? She had been really pushing and putting a lot of pressure on herself, according to Jeff Graber. Looks like she could breathe a sigh of relief.
Here's that church skill. Catches the bar, straight arms, immediately back to that low bar. This is the moment that these girls live for, the teamwork, the team camaraderie. It is just phenomenal, and I'm just so happy for her because I know she's been through a lot throughout her career.
Harris Miranda, the anchor, following up Danny Ferris's 9.925. She's really got to hit this.
But she can stick out.
I mean, Selena is one of the best in the country in this event.
Another Yurchenko, 1.5. She's known to stick, and she holds it. Talking to head coach Jenny, that they've learned how to stick. She's just built different, and she just knows how to get those sticky feet on commando.
tied for 4th in the country on vault this year.
Look at that block. Legs were completely glued and does a great job holding onto that landing. Was a little bit too happy, but she holds onto it. That's exactly what they needed.
That's going to be a 9.9 plus, most likely, to follow up Ferris's 9.925. And here is Alex Irvine. Came in from UCLA before last year, had a 9.9 in the anchor spot last week.
Beautiful pike Jaeger, straight into that transition to the low bar. Alex, it is sometimes so difficult to complete last because you're getting cold. It's important to continue to move your body and just full twisting, double tuck. Did a great job holding that handstand on the high bar. And
score last week. Auburn ranks 12th in the country on beam, and Olivia Ahern will lead off. This is a hold your breath type event for everybody here inside of Neville Arena. Another great crowd. This has kind of become the epicenter of SEC gymnastics when Auburn's at home.
Very difficult turn called a wolf turn. Takes a lot of ab control, stomach control, and also a lot of speed. Back handspring, layout step out, does a really good job adjusting herself on that landing. Could have been a bigger wobble than it was. Is in this lead-off position for a reason. A very strong athlete, mentally disciplined, and just this dismount right here, a round off 1.5. And when you start off beam with a stick, it can be contagious. This Auburn team, what an improvement. They just got to keep that moving forward and rolling with it.
The lead for Auburn coming in only 3/4 of a tenth. So, I mean, that's literally less than a step. That is how close this meet is right now. Florida has a chance, though, to really assert themselves on floor. This is a great event for them, tied for 6th in the country. A 49.225 last week. They made some changes, though, Amelia Dissidor staying in the lineup. It was originally supposed to be Anya Pilgrim, and look at Jocelyn Sasson, one of the 5-star recruits, is into the anchor spot. So we will see her last on floor. Jayla Booker to lead it off.
And the freshman, and she's a freshman leading it off, and she does enormous gymnastics. Check this out right here. A full twisting double tuck does not go out of bounds. Such an impressive and dynamic athlete. Doesn't even hold her legs, Alex. So impressive.
Would you, Anastasia, between rotations when you were at Oklahoma and you saw an injury before, would you draw your teammates together and kind of, have a little bit of a meeting to try to get everybody back on track?
100%, but sometimes it's in that moment where you need to shake that off in your head and kind of visualize your success and remember, this is how I practiced. Yes, it happened an injury to my teammate, but what am I going to do about it? How am I going to help my athlete out?
If you're just joining us, Lee Boy having to get carried off after coming up short on her vault.
Second pass here, a front tuck through to an outstanding double tuck. No question right there. The amplitude that she gets on this first pass does not even hold her legs and just holds that landing, does such a good job. Judges are going to take a little bit off for that little bit of uncontrolled landing.
Here's the only senior on the roster for Auburn, Hannah Hagel, though Jeff Graba tells us, yes, she's a senior in terms of eligibility, but she really has not competed that much for this team. A 9.675 last week, looking to bounce back here at home after a 9.875 from Ahern to lead off.
And Alex, she is one of my favorite beam workers because she is so aggressive, so meaningful from her hands to her toes to her releve. Really makes a difference in the judge's eyes.
What exactly do you mean by releve?
The way that you go on your tippy toes on the beam. There's a beautiful connection from that front aerial into the balance beam. And right there, that could have been a bigger wobble, but she did such a great job finessing it and continuing that movement from skill to skill. Outstanding jump connection to a back handspring swing down. Gainer front pike and does a great job holding that landing. She should be very proud of that.
Hagel following up Ahern's 9.875. The score for Booker came in at 9.875 as well. Both of these teams are really shooting for somewhere in the 197 plus area. That would be a really successful meet. Going to be difficult for Florida, though they were huge in their first event on bars with a 49.625, tying the highest bar score in the country for any team this year. So with two really strong events right here, in floor and finishing on beam, they can still put up a very good score. Disador at 9.9 last week in her collegiate floor debut.
Alex, let's talk about the depth of this Florida team. It's amazing that these athletes are chosen the moment they get on the floor for the lineup. It's incredible. First pass here, an enormous double layout. Does a great job with that vertical chest position and absorbing that landing.
If Florida this year has started warming up the top 8, going into the meet, they don't know what the lineups are going to be. The coaches decide it right before, and nobody that is warming up, they want to treat it like a competition because nobody's spot is technically secure yet.
I know from my experience, we knew the lineup the day before at the hotel room, and now these athletes have this healthy competitor into them because they have to be on the moment, they have to be present, they have to perform. Who's hydrated, who's eating healthy, who's performing at their best. And just like that, a beautiful combination. We talked about eliminating those steps, and she just danced beautifully out of that second pass.
Jenny Rowland loves it, following up the 9.875.
That double layout right there. Alex, I did see a little bit of a scoot right there and a slide from that front foot. And right there just dances it out, tries to limit any deductions, and coach is happy they needed that.
Julianne Huff a 9.775 last week. So 9.875, 9.85. Great start. The scores tend to build as you get further and further down the lineup throughout each rotation as well. Setting up for a big score here.
This is extremely difficult. A side aerial layout step out. She was a little bit crooked on that side aerial, making her have a little bit of a shoulder dip on that landing, but did such a good job keeping her eyes at the end of the beam. The flexibility, Alex, it's just beautiful in this beam routine so far.
Julianne competing all around for the first time in 2.5, 3 years. Had foot surgery at the end of last season as well. Finally feels like herself again.
And a smooth back handspring gainer full. And just a little bit of that happy feet again. Just that shuffle on that landing. Got a little bit too excited. Side aerial, layout step out. Doesn't keep her eyes off of the end of the beam. That makes a great athlete on this event. And look, I mean, we're like cats. The way that she was able to hold onto that balance beam, it's only 4 inches wide, was incredible.
That standing toe strength right there. Ferris fell on her final pass last week. Just an 8.9, they did drop her score. 9.875s for Booker and Disador, but Ferris is capable of going really big. Her career high 9.97, rather 9.925, I should say, back in 2024.
And this is actually a new skill for Danny, and it just gets better every single time.
Great double layout there.
And that Razzie mat that you see there, that coach is pulling away, it's not a deduction. It actually allows these athletes to have more of a softer landing. I mean, they've got a long way to go with all this long season, especially with these athletes competing at such a high level.
I mean, both Florida and Auburn are hoping that it goes all the way to mid-April to Fort Worth as Florida looks to get back into the national final. First time in 6 years they missed last season.
Jeremy Miranda, the choreographer for the Florida Gators, just such a great job embracing the needs, the wants, what suits them best in these athletes. Combination pass, round off 1.5 into a front full. Again, you see that constant movement, trying to limit any steps.
Jeremy is definitely pleased with how Danny just competed there on floor.
Combination pass, round off 1.5, legs are glued, and right there, dances it right out. Exactly.
Trying to work on minimizing those deductions. Landings have been a real focus for Florida. Back to beam we go here with Irvine. Had a 9.9 in her first collegiate beam routine last week. She was only in there because she had a 9.9 against NC State as an exhibition.
Great connection for that front toss. Smooth connection. That's exactly what the judges are looking for.
Auburn would love to drop the 9.675 from Huff as Irvine works in the moonwalk. You would think we're in Stegman Coliseum right now.
Switch leap into a back handspring with a one arm. Usually athletes are having two arms on that skill, but she just does it effortlessly.
I love the originality, too, of Auburn. You know, there's only so much, I guess, you can bring to beam, but that's a really unique skill.
And just a gainer full off the end. So impressive. The smooth connection right there, exactly what they're looking for. A cherry on top moonwalk. Alex, you think you can do that?
No.
And that
Absolutely
unique
not.
skill right there. One arm back handspring, has a little bit of a shoulder dip, but does a great job covering it up.
Can you do a moonwalk on beam? You ever tried?
I actually am pretty good at it.
I'm not surprised. What aren't you good at in gymnastics? A four-time national champion to back it up as well. MJ Frazier's hoping that she is able to lift the trophy here, transferring over from Cal to finish out her career. She opened the season with a 9.925 on floor, has 2 career 10s in this event.
Last meet, she didn't have a lot of control on this landing. Let's see if this time she can absorb the landing. Does such a good job not moving that front foot. Puts a lot of pressure on that back leg. And talking to head coach Jenny Rowland, she said that, you know, even though she's a transfer, she is honored to be a Florida Gator, and she's made this place her home. That says a lot about the Gator program and how welcoming they are as a school.
You wonder if maybe MJ Frazier might be that X factor that Florida has been lacking.
She's definitely that factor that can take them to the national championship, Alex. Second pass here, front tuck, through to a clean double tuck. Again, no move on that landing. We talked a lot about it being a little bit more precise for the Gators on floor, and they're showing it off today. Love the Gator chomp.
Jenny knows it was good.
Here's that connection pass. No move right there, Alex. And Jenny loves it. We could do it with them. Chomp.
MJ building off of 3 straight 9.875s for Florida. Very good start. Do those scores build into the 9.9 range and start putting some real pressure on Auburn, because they are going to have to hit on these next two with the 9.675 from Huff. Here's Greaves.
Wow. That was impressive. That was a double wolf turn, and it was a little bit uncontrolled, but held it together. Completely stopped that beautiful front aerial. No move, no deductions on that. Backhand spring layout, step out. This jump series is a little bit tricky because of that stag jump. It's tricky because it's a blind landing. That head is all the way backwards, so you gotta have that head completely neutral.
I wonder if they'll give her credit there. Florida's having a bit of a go with a judge conference.
And just that gainer pike off the end does a great job. Alex, look at the control, the amount of patience you have to hold that landing and to hold that turn. It says a lot about her consistency in the gym.
Somehow able to hold on to it, though. Well, women's basketball takes over the SEC Network every Thursday night. Next week, featuring the second game of the doubleheader, Joyce Edwards and number 2 South Carolina facing Auburn right here in Neville Arena. Tip-off at 9 Eastern on SEC Network and on the ESPN app. What do you think the judges' conference is about here on floor?
You know, I think they're just talking about the way the performance was from the combination pass or that first pass. Not exactly sure. Maybe it was the amount of bonus that she was getting from her leaps and her jumps. We'll have to take a look when they come back.
And this is now going to the head judge. So here's what it needs to be between. It needs to be a tenth of the difference between both judges. In the regular season, there are 2 judges. The way that you get their score is you average them together. That changes in the postseason, but that's how it works in the regular season. And so if those 2 scores, Anastasia, are not within a tenth of each other, well, then they need to go back and look at the composition. How much are they giving in terms of a start value is a big question when it comes to that.
And then in addition with the coaches' conference on the floor exercise, we also have it on the balance beam.
Wow, double conferences. I'm not sure I've ever seen this. That one seems to have taken a little less time, though. Alex Irvine scores a 9.8 on beam as we wait on Greaves. And the 9.875 from Frazier, so definitely consistent. For Florida, they have 4 straight 9.875s. And Sky Blakely just waiting her turn, followed by the collegiate debut of Jocelyn Sasson, one of the 2 5-star recruits this class for Jenny Rowland and the Gators. And we got the green flag. Green means go, and here comes Sky. Just a 9.725 for her to close out the meet against Alabama. She only needed a 9.6, but stepped out on her final pass, and that had everybody holding their breath inside the O-Dome.
I don't want anybody to miss this first pass right here. A front handspring, double front immediately into a stag jump. So impressive.
Olivia Greaves with a 9.375. I have to think there was a misconnection in that one.
Look at the amplitude, the flexibility, the pop of every single leap and jump. Sky just does big, bold gymnastics from her choreography to her facial expression. She just grabs you in when she's performing. Do you see what I'm talking about, Alex? She's just fully invested into this floor routine. That's what makes such a great athlete.
Sky's always a highlight, especially on floor.
Combination pass, 1.5 to a front full, no move of those feet.
Took that controlled lunge, no deduction there. That's going to be Florida's highest score, most likely. Going to break into that 9.9 range.
We talked about the Olympic level competing this, but here it is in college. A double front into a full stag jump, a little bit And the height of these leaps, the connection, the full twisting, so impressive from Sky.
You have to be at 180 degrees on those leaps, and you could tell she was right there.
Above.
Yes, above.
180 degrees.
So the pressure's really on Marissa Neal. You cannot count Olivia Greaves 9.375 if you are going to beat Florida. She's had back-to-back 9.85s to start her season on beam.
Back handspring, layout, a triple series, extremely difficult to do. We talked about Auburn doing difficult gymnastics, making it unique. And that's what they're known for. Again, 180 degrees, above 180 degrees on those leaps and jumps. She's such a quick athlete on this event, one of the best beam workers, and holds onto that landing, much improved, and that is why she is in that anchor position on the balance beam. 3 flips, back handspring, layout, no move. And the quickness off the beam right onto the floor, holds that landing with perfection. The team just loves it, Alex.
As they should. That was her best beam routine of the season so far, no question. Collegiate debut now here for Jocelyn Sasson. And already Florida has tied their floor exercise season high this year. So can Sasson provide a little bit of fireworks here to finish it off?
And she was phenomenal in her warm-up earlier today, and this is why she earned this anchor position for the Florida Gators, because let me tell you, the Gators got depth on floor.
Florida can do no worse than their score on floor right now of a 49.425, but they can do better if they drop one of the 9.875s.
You're going to see a lot of these athletes be doing 2 passes on the floor exercise. You want to get 5/10 of bonus within those first 2 passes. And Alex, I'm a huge Coldplay fan, so I'm loving this floor routine so far. Front tuck, through into a double tuck. Loved how she just popped up that chest, holds that landing. What a moment for her to show out, especially during this arena. She may have just earned her spot.
Welcome to college gymnastics for Jocelyn Sasson. And how about making your collegiate debut on? So she will replace Alyssa Arana, so Pilgrim will come back in. She was originally in, taken out, and now she has re-entered. Skylar Drazer to start it off, tied her career high with her 10th 9.9 routine in the leadoff spot last week. She is exactly who you want to start.
She is a staple for this program. This routine is really going to matter. This is going to set the tone for the remaining athletes on this event. She looks a little bit nervous in my perspective, but does a great job holding onto that landing. Very difficult leap combination. Switch leap into a switch half. You're splitting and you're twisting in the air. Extremely difficult.
Skylar is locked in with the music blasting inside Neville Arena.
And difficult music too.
Yeah, Cotton Eye Joe's not something I would do beam to.
It's distracting.
That makes it even more impressive what Skylar was able to pull off there.
She does a great job on that round off, 1.5. Teammates love it. That's exactly what they need to get the ball rolling.
She is calm and consistent. Jenny Rowland telling us they can always rely on her for a hit. So far, so good.
There's intensity in here. Florida wants to remain in that top spot and to be a top contender meet after meet, but these are moments where they need a handle, and these are learning experience for them, Alex.
And now Auburn will go to floor, leading off with Bryn Bartman. Team that had a 49.5 in the opening meet. Coming into today was the highest floor score in the country this season, just a 49.2 against Arkansas on the road. Bit of an off meet for them as they try to get back in the driver's seat their season.
Starting off with this combination pass, round off 1.5 to a front layout. Usually athletes do that in their second pass, but she's starting it off. Explosive leaps and jumps above 180 degrees. Alex, Auburn may have a chance.
They were only down by 2.5 tenths. Especially, that is not going to help their falling on the wolf turn.
Judges are going to be taken off for that. She's got to fill up that gap with this double pike. Does a great job holding that landing. Her chest was a little bit low.
This is definitely Auburn's best event, so finishing here down by just 2.5 tenths, especially with Florida on beam where we know anything can happen, is huge. Because, I mean, last week, that was their low score of the season with a 49.2. And they started it off with a 49.5. Skylar Drazer with a 9.825. Good hit for Florida on beam, but you can go through as each gymnast score comes in and see, is Auburn making up those 2.5 tenths? Remember, you get to drop the lowest score, but just the lowest score. 6 up, 5 count.
One of the calmest gymnasts on the balance beam is Anya Pilgrim. She's very poised, very precise. Acro series here, back handspring, layout, step out. Eyes are completely glued to the end of the beam. That's exactly what they need, discipline on this event. Controlled landing on that beautiful front aerial. Just the dismount here for Anya, and so impressive. Being able to be thrown in, thrown out, then back into the lineup, that is extremely difficult for an athlete. Back handspring, gainer full, nails the dismount. That's exactly what we need from the Gators to respond.
For Auburn, everything is on the line. They have never beaten a #1 team in their history. It's a long history. Florida, on the other hand, besides 2022, where both teams somehow came up with a 198.5, 21 wins in 22 dual meets if they are able to hold on here against the Tigers. 9.85 for Auburn's Bryn Bartman, so the judges were feeling lenient there on that routine. Ahern had a 9.8 last week, but a 9.85 against NC State, and trying to keep the pressure on.
There's that wolf turn right there that we needed to see. This first pass here is all about timing. From 1.5 into a sky-high backwards layout, step out, and she just has a little head nod right there. She knows it's good.
You know, and I love the way that that pass finishes with the step out too. It's so floaty and elegant.
Second pass here, combination, round off 1.5 to a front full. Was a little bit off on that timing. Having that under rotation. Would have loved to see those knees to be a little bit more straight on those leaps and jumps right there. Love the expression. The timing of this first pass, 1.5 into that floaty back layout step out. There's that little head nod right there.
This crowd of 9,121, 9,121, a sellout here inside net. Has not technically ruled out potentially trying for LA in 2028. Kayla DiCello on that list as well. There's plenty of Gators that I think might try, and I'm throwing my hat in the ring for Sky to go for it because she is just glorious to watch. Marissa Neal follows up the 9-8 from Ahern. So far, the score's not in Auburn's favor in terms of making up those 2.5 tenths.
I talked about how quick she was on the balance beam. She is such a quick and dynamic athlete on the floor exercise as well. Shows off her flexibility with that switch ring. Very difficult to do. Hard to get credit on that. Front tuck into a double tuck. Holds that landing. Love how she didn't move that front foot. Very controlled, very precise. We talked to head coach Jeff Graber saying, this team, they need to build their confidence and live in the moment. Be super intentional. And I'm really happy we're seeing that tonight, the growth. The ring jump, the flexibility, you want that head to be all the way backwards and also that leg to be fully ringed out. They know it's good. That team environment means everything in college gymnastics. That's like the moment I miss the most.
Marissa Neal with some well-deserved tugs. Here's MJ Frazier. Just 3 gymnasts remaining here for both teams. Frazier following up the 9-9 from Blakely. She had a great night. Nothing below 9-9 on her 3 events.
That was super impressive. Holds that full turn on releve. Sometimes the easiest skills can be the most intimidating. I remember as an athlete, if I got over that full turn, I was perfect for the rest of the beam routine.
Is there a point that, like, you say to yourself, I got this?
It's that first skill, trying to get it out of the way, and for her, it was that full turn, and so far, she's been rock solid. Extremely difficult jump right there. Split jump to a split stag. Smart cartwheel into a beautiful 1.5. She's happy about it. She is such a solid athlete for this Gator team.
Before the last meet on beam, Jenny Rowland told MJ, I'm just really grateful that you made the decision to be a Gator. And that almost brought tears to MJ's eyes, so she was thinking, maybe I won't say that this time. But, I mean, she was amazing last week. She had a 9.925, so it certainly didn't hurt her performance at all. This is getting really interesting, though, because these scores right now for Florida and Auburn are sort of identical. Remember that Auburn needs to make up 2.5 tenths, so they're going to have to begin to put up some big ones. Julianne Huff is more than capable. Her career high is 9.9. Can she match that? And also Neal's 9.9.
This is going to be the first E-level difficulty on the floor exercise for the Auburn Tigers. A full twisting double tuck. Did such a great job holding to that landing. Chest was vertical. Overextension on that straddle jump. Looking forward to topping that 9.9 from that last performance. And Alex, it looks like she may get it.
Auburn certainly bouncing back here at home after a down meet on the road against Arkansas. You know, you had a feeling that this energy would get them back on track.
The way that she limits her deduction, she does a 3 combination pass and just dances right out of it. Look at the energy.
And so now just 2 gymnasts remaining for both teams. Selena Harris-Miranda has to deal with wannabe as well. 9.925 for Frazier. So she matches her total from last week. Harris-Miranda, though, has had back-to-back 9.95s to start the year. Or 9.95, I should say 9.975 last week. Rather, to open the year. Top-ranked beam worker in the country right now.
Triple series here. Back handspring, layout to a back handspring. She controls. I love how she holds every single. She's a gorgeous beam worker, and she just oozes confidence too. Head coach Jenny Rowland saying that she's just one of those athletes who just says, hey, I want you to watch me and see how good I am. Round off for 1.5, and there it is, Alex, that sticky feet that she is just known for. She's an energized bunny. She's phenomenal.
Well, if Selena puts together a 9.9 plus, Florida wins. I think she might have done it.
That pop that she has right off the beam and is super tight on that twist. The tongue is out. She's extremely happy.
Is she the best beam worker in the country right now?
I would say so. The way that she just has that confidence from the way that her execution is and her consistency, that's what matters. She performs meet after meet. Such a reliable athlete for the Gators.
And now after back-to-back 9.9s, Olivia Greaves takes the floor. Had a career-high 9.95 in week 1 against NC State. But if Harris-Miranda's score comes in 9.9 plus, it's not going to matter what Greaves and Bell do at the end, except it'll be fun to watch.
Front tuck through to a double tuck. Does have a little bit of an uncontrolled landing, does take a large step backwards, and then also a slide on that front foot. Shows off her flexibility with a bunch of those ring jumps. Last pass here for Olivia. Double pike. No question right there. Pops it right up. Vertical chest. Judges cannot take anything off of that tumbling pass and finishes off with a statement. Floaty double tuck, legs are straight, knees are together, and just pops it up. This Auburn team should be really proud of themselves, the way that they've been able to grow and perform meet after meet and take those mistakes that they had and work on them as improvements. Sometimes mistakes are a good thing.
So the 9.95 coming in for Selena Harris-Miranda will give Florida the meet. Can they better their score, though, of 197.1? At the moment, they're dropping Skylar Drazer's 9.825. So better than that for DiCello. And this will turn into a beam rotation, really, to remember. She had a 9.9 in her opening meet. I can think of 2 better gymnasts. There aren't many 1-2 punches at the end of this beam lineup to rely on than Harris-Miranda and DiCello.
Overextension on those leaps and jumps. extremely difficult triple series here. Back handspring, layout. Does such a great job holding that landing, has pressure on her front foot, eyes are glued onto the balance beam. Unfortunately, she did have a break in that connection and then also touched her hands on the balance beam. That's equivalent to 3/10 of a deduction.
So it is gonna hold as a 197-1 here for Florida. I mean, considering they had a 48-6 on vault, that's really a very solid meet otherwise.
Her feet were crooked, and then she had that shoulder dip and then completely touched the beam. That is gonna be a 3/10 deduction. But you know what, Alex? These are learning opportunities for these athletes to take back to the gym and say, you know what? This is an opportunity for us to get better. And sometimes these mistakes they're opportunities for growth and to see where they can stand in the future.
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt. And this is a real treat to finish out our meet. Sophia Bell ranked 5th in the country on floor. So far this season, a 9.95 and a 9.925.
She defines explosive gymnastics. Watch the height, the amplitude on this. Front double full into a punch layout. She missed a little bit of that timing right there, causing that under rotation on that second jump. Sky high, double pike. It's super impressive how these athletes are able to have that explosive gymnastics and also dance to that full potential. It says a lot about their conditioning and their choreography. And just drops the mic right there.
We'll finish off the night for Auburn. I mean, they are just really trying to build